RIMURU Go Back in Time by Rimu-chi. Preparation for WALPAGUS 1. RIMURU's office. 3 days had passed since the grand meeting, and Tempest was bustling with activity. In RIMURU's office, future Demon Lord sat behind his desk, diligently signing papers and reviewing reports. The room was quiet, save for the scratching of a pen on parchment. Shizu sat on the couch nearby, her eyes tracing his every movement. Kaguli leaned against the desk, a sly smile playing on her lips as she watched him. Mayoran stood near the window, pretending to look outside but stealing glances at RIMURU. Soka perched on a chair across the room, fidgeting with her hair. As RIMURU finished signing a document, Infomer's calm, analytical voice echoed in his mind. Almost like Seal, Master, the Tempest army is fully prepared. Should Kleiman move, this war will end swiftly. It is, by all calculations, a one-sided engagement. Thanks, that's good to hear. Let's keep the preparations running smoothly. Understood. Breaking the silence, Shizu stood and approached RIMURU. She placed a gentle hand on his shoulder, her touch warm and comforting. RIMURU, are you sure about this? About going to Walpergus and facing everything head-on. RIMURU turned his chair to face her, giving her a reassuring smile. I'm sure, Shizu. You don't need to worry about me. Everything is under control. Kaguli raised an eyebrow, her arms crossed. You're always so confident, RIMURU. Aren't you even a little concerned about the demon lords ganging up on you? Not at all, RIMURU said, his tone light. If they try, I'll just show them why I'm going to be the strongest demon lord. Soka leaned forward, a playful grin on her face. You know, RIMURU-sama, confidence is attractive, but you should let us help ease your burdens. Maybe a little, special attention from us would do the trick. Mayoran smirked, leaning against the desk. She's right. You work too hard, RIMURU. A little relaxation wouldn't hurt. We're here for you. Kaguli chuckled softly, her voice carrying a seductive edge. You know, it's dangerous for a man to be surrounded by so many beautiful women. We might just steal your heart. RIMURU tilted his head, feigning confusion. Oh. And here I thought you all were already mine. The room fell silent for a moment, the boldness of his statement leaving the women momentarily stunned. Shizu cleared her throat, her cheeks tinged pink. RIMURU, you can't just say things like that so casually. RIMURU stood from his desk, his eyes soft yet piercing as he looked at her. Why not? It's the truth. You all mean so much to me. If anything, I'm lucky to have you by my side. Soka's confident demeanor faltered as she looked away, her cheeks flushed. RIMURU-sama, you're too kind. Kaguli narrowed her eyes, trying to regain her composure. You're dangerous, RIMURU. You're supposed to be the one getting flustered, not us. Mayoran laughed nervously, twirling a strand of her hair. It's not fair. We're supposed to be seducing you, not the other way around. RIMURU stepped closer to them, his smile warm and genuine. I'm not trying to fluster anyone. I'm just being honest. I trust all of you completely, and I know that together, there's nothing we can't handle. Shizu looked up at him, her gaze softening. RIMURU, thank you. You always know exactly what to say. RIMURU reached out, gently brushing a strand of hair from her face. I'm just saying what I feel, Shizu. The room grew quiet, a shared warmth passing between them all. Infomer's voice broke the silence in RIMURU's mind. Master, your charisma is unparalleled. It seems your words have had a profound effect. What can I say? I've got a knack for this kind of thing. Indeed. Though I must warn you, too much charm could lead to complications. I'll keep that in mind. The quiet moment was broken by Soka's playful laugh. Alright, RIMURU-sama, you win this round. But don't think we'll let you off the hook so easily next time. Kaguli smirked, her confidence returning. She's right. We'll get you to blush one of these days. Mayoran joined in, giggling. You're impossible, RIMURU. But we wouldn't have you any other way. RIMURU chuckled, his gaze sweeping over the group. Well, if this is how things are going to be, I look forward to your attempts. The light-hearted banter continued as RIMURU returned to his desk, his heart full and his resolve stronger than ever. 4 days later. RIMURU's office. RIMURU sat in his office, diligently working through the endless stack of paperwork that came with running Tempest. However, the quiet was far from peaceful, thanks to Veldora and Ramirez occupying the couch nearby. For some strange reason, all the girls had left earlier, telling RIMURU not to worry and giving him vague reassurances. Naturally, that only made RIMURU worry more, but he decided to trust them for now. Meanwhile, Beldora and Ramirez were completely absorbed in the final 3 volumes of The Eminence in Shadow. Ramirez, you don't understand the brilliance of Shadow's philosophy, Beldora said, flipping a page excitedly. His secret power, his grand schemes, it's genius. Ramirez rolled her eyes, waving the manga in her tiny hands. Genius. Please. It's cringe. He's just running around pretending to be some big shot while everyone around him is way too serious about it. Beldora puffed out his chest, affronted. You dare insult the master of Shadow. You just don't get it, Ramirez. It's all part of his deep, strategic plan. Rimuru, half listening while reviewing a budget report, sighed. You two are arguing about a manga again, huh? Ramirez turned to Rimuru, waving her arms. Of course. And you need to back me up here. This guy's obsession with his eminence thing is so over the top it's embarrassing. Beldora slammed the manga shut dramatically. Embarrassing. Ramirez, this is art. The layers of deception, the hidden truths, the power struggles, it's practically a manual for greatness. Rimuru set his pen down, leaning back in his chair. Honestly, I kind of agree with both of you. It's a little cringe, but it's also hilarious. That's part of the charm. Ramirez crossed her arms triumphantly. See. Rimuru gets it. You're too deep in denial, Beldora. Beldora scoffed, leaning back on the couch. You two lack the vision to see the depth of this story. Shadow's greatness is wasted on such shallow minds. Diablo, who had been silently observing the debate with an amused smile, finally spoke up. Perhaps this manga is a reflection of one's personal tastes. Lord Beldora sees greatness because it mirrors his unique perspective. Rimuru chuckled. You're not wrong, Diablo. Beldora does have a knack for seeing himself in over-the-top characters. Beldora grinned, completely missing the teasing undertone. Of course. Greatness recognizes greatness. Ramirez groaned, flopping back on the couch. Whatever. I'm still calling it cringe. But at least it's fun cringe. She held up the manga. Fine, Beldora, let's finish this and see if your Master of Shadow redeems himself. Beldora nodded solemnly, opening the next volume. Prepare to be enlightened, Ramirez. As they dove back into the manga, Rimuru returned to his work, shaking his head. You two are something else. Diablo, standing nearby with his hands clasped behind his back, smirked. Indeed, my lord. Their antics never fail to entertain. Despite the chaos, Rimuru found himself smiling. Even amidst all the pressures of leadership, moments like this reminded him why he cherished Tempest so much. Rimuru paused his paperwork and called out, Ramirez. The tiny demon lord immediately perked up, fluttering over to his desk in a flurry of glowing wings. She plopped herself on top of the pile of papers, making herself comfortable. What is it, Rimuru? She asked, swinging her legs like a carefree child. Rimuru leaned back in his chair, his tone curious. Where's Beretta? I haven't seen them around. Ramirez huffed. Oh, I sent Beretta to deliver a message to Trainee, the Dryad. I needed her to know I've arrived in Tempest. It's proper protocol, you know. Rimuru nodded thoughtfully, then asked, speaking of which, who's your scout for Walpergus this time? At the mention of a scout, Ramirez stiffened. Her face broke into a nervous smile as she tried to play it cool. Ah, Beretta. Yes, Beretta is my scout. Totally prepared and everything. Rimuru arched an eyebrow but let it slide, nodding. I see. Good choice. However, in his mind, Informer chimed in, its tone as precise as ever. In the previous timeline, Ramirez selected both Beretta and Trainee the Dryad as her scouts for Walpergus. It is recommended to follow the same arrangement. Thanks for the reminder, Rimuru thought. Rimuru turned his attention back to Ramirez, whose nervousness had started to fade. Ramirez, have you thought about including Trainee as one of your scouts? Her eyes sparkled with excitement, lighting up like a child receiving a surprise gift. Really? You think she could join this time? But then her enthusiasm waned, and she sighed. But you know she can't leave the forest, right? It's against the Dryads, because of something. Rimuru grinned, confident as ever. I might have a way to solve that problem. We'll go to the forest tomorrow, and I'll see what I can do. Before Ramirez could respond, Beldora, who had been eavesdropping from the couch, suddenly sprang to life. Rimuru, can I come to Walpergus too? Ramirez immediately waved her arms in protest. No way. It's improper for someone like you to attend Walpergus. It's a demon lord's council, not a dragon hangout. Rimuru chuckled, raising a hand to calm them both. I'll think about it, Beldora. There's still plenty of time before the meeting. Satisfied with the answer, Veldora returned to his manga, muttering something about how Shadow would have been welcome at Walpergus. Rimuru turned back to Ramirez, his tone gentle. All right then, tomorrow, you, Beretta, and I will head to the forest and figure this out. Sound good. Ramirez beamed, flying over and hugging Rimuru's face tightly. Thanks, Rimuru. You're the best. After a moment, she let go and flitted back toward the couch but stopped mid-flight. Oh, wait. Rimuru, what do you think is the best gift for a friend? Her sudden question caught Rimuru off guard. That depends. Is it for someone specific? Ramirez shook her head. Not telling. Just give me a general idea. Rimuru rubbed his chin, thinking. Well, something personal and meaningful usually works best. It doesn't have to be fancy, just something that shows you care. Ramirez nodded thoughtfully. Okay, got it. With that, she flew back to her spot next to Veldora and resumed reading manga. As he watched the two bicker over the next chapter of The Eminence in Shadow, Rimuru couldn't help but smile. No matter how chaotic things get, Tempest really feels like home. He glanced at his paperwork and sighed. Alright, time to get this done so I can focus on tomorrow. Next day in Rimuru's office. The sun streamed through the windows of Rimuru's office, illuminating the room where the usual gathering had assembled. Rimuru sat at his desk, surrounded by his close allies, the girls, Shuna, Shion, Soka, Kaguli, Mayoran, Shizu, Gabwa, and Goblina, along with Veldora, Ramirez, and Diablo. Off to the side stood Carrion's subordinates, the Beastketeers, while Yume and Grusius had arrived for a special summons. The atmosphere was calm but charged with anticipation. Rimuru placed down his pen, stood, and turned to Diablo, who was seated elegantly with his ever-devoted smile. All right, Diablo, Rimuru began, his voice commanding yet casual, it's time. I want you to make Yume the new king of Falmouth. Diablo's crimson eyes gleamed with excitement. He immediately stood, bowing deeply. Oh, my beloved master. How truly splendid. You are a visionary beyond compare, a ruler of unparalleled wisdom, nay, divinity itself. For me to have the honor of executing your will is. Rimuru raised a hand, cutting him off midrant. That's enough, Diablo. I get it. Shion chuckled softly from the corner, whispering to Shuna, he never changes, does he? Shuna smiled gently. That's part of his charm, I suppose. Rimuru continued, addressing Diablo with a serious expression. Listen carefully. Don't kill anyone unless absolutely necessary. Diablo's smile faltered slightly, his excitement dimming just a little. As you command, my lord, he said, though his voice held a slight undertone of disappointment. Rimuru pressed on, take Raisin, the king, and Minister Rahigard with you. They'll be useful for what we're trying to accomplish. At this, Diablo's smile returned, broader than ever. Ah, I see. Turning former enemies into tools of our conquest. Truly, a strategy befitting your supreme intellect. Rimuru ignored the praise and added, and make sure to use your unique skill to ensure their loyalty. Diablo's eyes widened momentarily, clearly surprised by the suggestion. But his expression quickly turned to one of admiration. As expected from you, my master. Truly, nothing escapes your foresight. I shall execute your will to perfection. Rimuru turned to Yume and Grusius, his gaze steady and encouraging. Yume, Grusius, this is your time to shine. Don't disappoint me. Yume scratched the back of his head nervously but managed a grin. Don't worry, boss. We'll give it everything we've got. Right, Grusius. Grusius thumped his chest confidently. You can count on us. We won't let you down. Rimuru nodded. Good. Remember, this isn't just about taking the throne. It's about uniting Falmouth under a new banner of peace and strength. Make sure you show them what Tempest stands for. With that, Diablo, Yume, and Grusius bowed deeply and departed, leaving the office with purpose in their steps. As the door closed behind them, Veldora let out a dramatic sigh. It's always the big missions that get handed out to Diablo. I could have handled that just fine. Ramirez smirked, poking Veldora's arm. Yeah, right. You'd probably blow up half the kingdom before Yume could even sit on the throne. Hey, Veldora retorted, puffing up his chest. I'm way more refined than that. The room erupted into light-hearted laughter, even as Rimuru returned to his seat, his mind already shifting to the next task at hand. After Diablo, Yume, and Grusius left the room, Rimuru turned his attention to the Beastketeers, Carrion's loyal subordinates, Albus, Sufia, and Phobio. They stood attentively, their expressions a mix of pride and determination. Rimuru leaned against his desk, addressing them with a calm yet authoritative tone. Now, for you three. I need you to prepare for the war with Clayman's army. I'll handle all the major moves, so your focus should be on assisting and bolstering our forces. Albus, the calm and composed leader of the group, nodded. Understood, Lord Rimuru. We'll ensure our forces are ready and disciplined. Sophia grinned, crossing her arms. Don't worry. When it comes to battle, you can count on us. That army won't stand a chance. Phobio, trying to mask his excitement, thumped his chest. Leave it to us, Rimuru-sama. We'll make sure Clayman regrets ever challenging Tempest. Rimuru smiled slightly. Good. I've already informed Benimaru of the details, so everything should run smoothly. All you need to do is support the war effort and follow his lead. The Beastketeers bowed deeply, their respect for Rimuru evident. Thank you for trusting us with this, Lord Rimuru, Albus said sincerely. Sophia and Phobio echoed her sentiment before the three turned and left the room, their steps purposeful as they headed off to prepare for the coming conflict. As the door closed behind them, the room fell into a brief silence. Rimuru sighed, running a hand through his hair. All right. That's another task taken care of. Veldora looked up from his manga, grinning. It's impressive how you managed to organize all this so effortlessly, Rimuru. Ramirez, still perched on a pile of paperwork, added, yeah, you're like a real king or something. I'd probably just hide under a desk if I had this many people depending on me. Rimuru chuckled, shaking his head. Well, someone has to keep this place running. And besides, it's not just me. Everyone's doing their part. Rimuru turned his gaze toward the group of women gathered on the side of the room. They were huddled close, whispering among themselves. For the usually lively group, their unusual silence caught Rimuru's attention. Hey, why are you all so quiet? Rimuru asked, leaning slightly over his desk. Shizu glanced up, offering a calm smile. Oh, nothing to worry about, Rimuru. We were just discussing something important. Rimuru raised an eyebrow, curious. Important? Like what? Before Shizu could respond, Mayoran and Kaguli quickly intervened, speaking in unison. It's a girl thing. You wouldn't understand, Rimuru. Soka, ever playful, added with a smirk, maybe we should head home to talk more about this. It's definitely not something for mixed company. The rest of the women nodded in agreement, clearly amused at Rimuru's confusion. Wait, what are you all plotting? Rimuru began, standing up from his chair. But it was too late. With surprising speed, the group had already exited the office, their laughter echoing down the hallway. As the door closed behind the women, Veldora and Ramirez exchanged glances before bursting into laughter. Oh, mighty Rimuru, Veldora began with a smirk. You can defeat armies, outwit demon lords, and manage an entire nation, but you can't even figure out what your own fiancés are up to. Ramirez, rolling on the pile of papers, added, yeah, for someone who can solve everything, you're so helpless when it comes to them. It's hilarious. Rimuru sighed, pinching the bridge of his nose. All right, you two. That's enough. But their laughter only grew louder, with Veldora clutching his stomach and Ramirez mockingly wiping fake tears from her eyes. Finally, Rimuru glared at them, his tone sharp. If you two don't stop, I'll ban both manga and the snacks you're eating for the rest of the week. That shut them up instantly. Veldora froze, his eyes wide with panic. Wait, Rimuru, let's not do anything drastic here. I was just joking. You're the best, most capable true dragon ever. Ramirez jumped to her feet, frantically flapping her wings. Yeah, you're amazing, Rimuru. A genius among geniuses. We'd never doubt you. The two dropped to their knees in unison, bowing in the most dramatic fashion possible. Please forgive us, O great and merciful Rimuru-sama. Rimuru stared at them, unimpressed. That's more like it. Now, go back to whatever you were doing and behave. Veldora and Ramirez exchanged sheepish glances before quickly returning to their manga and snacks, muttering under their breath about Rimuru's unpredictable wrath. The door to Rimuru's office opened, and Beretta entered gracefully. The elegant golem bowed deeply to Rimuru, then turned toward Veldora and Ramirez. I have successfully delivered the message of Lady Ramirez's arrival to Tempest. Lady Trainee was pleased to hear it and extends her regards. Ramirez fluttered excitedly. See. Beretta is the best. Always so reliable. Rimuru smiled at Beretta. Perfect timing. Thanks, Beretta. He turned toward Ramirez. All right, Ramirez, let's head to the forest and see what I can do to help. Are you ready? Romulus gave an enthusiastic nod, her wings buzzing. Ready as ever. Before they could leave, Veldora stood up, crossing his arms dramatically. Wait a moment. Rimuru, surely you'll let me come along. I've been cooped up for far too long, and I could use some fresh air. Rimuru chuckled. Fresh air, huh? You just want to see what I'm up to. Veldora grinned unapologetically. Maybe. So, can I come? Rimuru sighed but eventually nodded. Fine, you can come. But no causing trouble. We're on a mission here. Veldora pumped his fist in triumph. Yes. The great Veldora shall accompany you on this important quest. With that, the group, Rimuru, Romulus, Veldora, and Beretta, left the office and made their way toward the forest where Trainee, the Dryad, resided. As they walked through Tempest, citizens stopped to bow and greet Rimuru and his companions. Veldora basked in the attention, puffing out his chest, while Romulus waved cheerfully at anyone who looked her way. Rimuru, walking at the front, glanced over his shoulder. Remember, this isn't a sightseeing trip. We're here to figure out how to allow Trainee to join Walpergus without violating her connection to the forest. Romulus flew closer to Rimuru, her voice curious. Do you really think you can fix that? The forest is her lifeline. If she leaves, it could, kill her or something. Rimuru gave her a confident smile. I've got an idea. Trust me. Beretta, walking silently behind, chimed in with a calm tone. If anyone can resolve this, it's Lord Rimuru. Romulus nodded quickly. Yeah, that's true. I mean, he's the guy who solved practically everything so far. No pressure though, Rimuru. Rimuru sighed. You're really hyping this up, huh? As they entered the dense forest, the air grew cooler, and the sounds of rustling leaves surrounded them. Trainee appeared not long after, stepping gracefully out of a nearby tree. Her serene expression brightened as she saw Rimuru and Romulus. Lord Rimuru, Lady Romulus. Lord Veldora, welcome, Trainee said, bowing deeply. Rimuru returned the gesture with a warm smile. Thanks, Trainee. Let's get straight to the point. I want to find a way for you to join us at Walpergus while keeping your connection to the forest intact. Trainee tilted her head thoughtfully. That would indeed be a challenge. My existence is bound to this place. If I leave for too long, the forest would suffer. Rimuru crossed his arms, thinking aloud. If the issue is the connection itself, maybe I could reinforce it or create an alternate link. Something to keep your presence here stable while you're away. Veldora, who had been quietly observing, spoke up. A simple problem for my brother Rimuru. With his power, he could probably move the entire forest if he wanted to. Romulus rolled her eyes. That's not helping, Veldora. Trainee, unbothered by the banter, smiled gently. If Lord Rimuru believes it's possible, then I trust him completely. Rimuru scratched his head, pondering the issue. Trainee, you're bound to this forest because it's the source of your life force, right? If I could create a substitute anchor point that mimics the forest's connection, you might be able to leave temporarily without any harm. Trainee's emerald eyes widened slightly. A substitute anchor point. Such a thing is theoretically possible, but it would require immense magical energy and intricate skill. Veldora smirked. If it's power you need, I, the mighty Veldora, can assist. My energy surpasses all. Romulus flew up to his face, pointing a finger at him. You. Help. Please. You'd probably destroy half the forest in the process. Beretta stepped forward calmly. Lady Romulus, Lord Veldora's power, when properly controlled, could indeed be of use. Combined with Lord Rimuru's abilities, this could work. Rimuru raised a hand to stop the back and forth. Alright, let's keep it simple. I'll use spatial domination to create a magical conduit between Trainee and the forest, and Veldora can supply the extra energy needed to stabilize it. Romulus, you can help me manage the mana flow. Romulus beamed. Finally. Someone recognizes my brilliance. The group moved to a clearing where Trainee stood near a massive ancient tree. Rimuru began to analyze the magical connections between the Dryad and the forest using his analysis ability. In his mind, the informer spoke up. Master, the Dryad's connection is deeply rooted in the forest's magical network. Attempting to replicate it requires precision. Using a fragment of your own magicules as a foundation would ensure stability. So you're saying I should make a mini forest core? Sounds doable. Rimuru turned to Trainee. I'll create a temporary core using my magicules. It'll act as a beacon that keeps you tethered to the forest, no matter where you are. Are you okay with that? Trainee bowed gracefully. I trust you completely, Lord Rimuru. Veldora laughed, already preparing to channel his energy. This will be fun. Let's get started. Rimuru focused his energy, weaving a glowing orb of magicules in his hands. It pulsed with life, mirroring the essence of the forest itself. Veldora, standing nearby, unleashed a controlled stream of energy that Rimuru carefully directed into the orb. Ramirez hovered above, her hands glowing with a soft green light as she stabilized the mana flow. Wow, look at us. We're like a dream team. Beretta stood guard silently, ensuring no external disturbances disrupted the process. As the orb stabilized, Rimuru infused it with a strand of Trainee's magical essence, creating a direct link between her and the forest. The orb floated above her, glowing softly like a miniature sun. It's done, Rimuru said, stepping back. This core will maintain your connection to the forest even if you're far away. But don't wander too far for too long, it's still a temporary solution. Trainee looked at the orb, her eyes shimmering with emotion. Lord Rimuru, this is beyond what I imagined. You've given me the freedom to support Lady Ramirez fully. I am forever in your debt. Rimuru waved it off. No need for all that. Just do your best at Walpergus, alright. Ramirez flew up to Rimuru's face, grinning. See, I told you my friends are awesome. Now I've got the best scout team ever. Veldora crossed his arms proudly. And don't forget, the mighty Veldora had a hand in this masterpiece. As the group prepared to return to Tempest, Ramirez hovered beside Rimuru, her voice unusually soft. Hey, Rimuru. Thanks for helping Trainee. You're a really good friend, you know that. Rimuru smiled. Of course. That's what friends do. Veldora broke the moment with a dramatic pose. Enough sentimentality. Let's head back and celebrate our success. The group laughed as they made their way back, the tension of the day replaced by a light-hearted camaraderie.